hairdresser for 37 years, so I've heard a lot of stories. And when I was diagnosed, the first thing my sister said was, Danita, this is going to be your story. Your story to tell. I'm telling you, it's going to be your story. So the next Sunday, we went to church, and the minister gets up, and he's like, today's sermon is your story through Jesus Christ. And I was like, oh, did you tell him I was coming? And she's like, no, I swear. The next song we sang was This Is My Story, This Is My Song. Well, that was a song that my sister and I were raised on. She leaves the church crying. I'm sitting there crying. But I'm telling you, we met in the parking lot, and I'm like, oh my God, that was so weird, but I think I do have a story. That Monday, I was having a port put in with Dr. Weintritt at Mount Vernon Hospital. And I was so nervous, and I was like, so what's going to be put in here? And I'm going to feel it for 8 months, and that's where the medicine's going to go. And I remember when I get nervous, my prayer goes like this. Jesus, 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 Jesus. Well, I'm telling you, his nurse walked in, and she said, how you doing there, pretty girl? It's such a pretty day, it sure is. I'm here, I'm going to take your temperature, I'm going to take your pulse, and I'm going to take your blood pressure. And I'm like, you're like the happiest nurse I ever met. You know why? You know why I'm so happy? Because that Jesus, he loves you. He loves you. He loves me. He loves everybody. I'm telling you what, I felt at peace. 2 days later, I have a girlfriend. Her name is Sherry. She lived in McLean. And she called me and she said, Danita, I'm going to be there for you. I'm going to take you to lunch. I'm going to have you over for dinner. The very next day, my girlfriend Sherry hit a tree in Louisville Road in McLean and was killed instantly. I was driving to her funeral, and my mother called me, and she said, you know, Danita, your cousin Randy just died of a heart attack this morning. So after Sherry's funeral, I was driving down 66, and I was like, it's supposed to be me. What is happening? Like, I don't understand. I couldn't figure it out. And I'm telling you, it wasn't George Burns or Morgan Freeman or those, like, people who play God in Hollywood, but it was a voice I know that I know. And it said, this is what I've been trying to tell you. You only have today. Love me today. Quit projecting what's going to happen 3 months, 6 months, a year from now, or 10 years. Love me today. Trembling, I pulled off the side of the road. I gathered my thoughts, and I'm like, okay, I have today. The next day, I bought 18 wigs. I swear to God. Blonde, brown, long. This is not one of them, but I bought 18. Because I believe if you look good, you feel good. And I also decided that I was not going to have the side effects of chemo and go home and wait for the side effects to happen. I wanted to embrace and love and celebrate every minute of it. So I told my sister, I said, you know what? After my first chemo, we went to the Willard Hotel. We went to Old Ebbitt. We went to DuPont Circle. The second one, we went to Middleburg. We celebrated because I didn't want to sit there and think, I got chemo this week. I truly was like, I got chemo this week. My sister and I are going to have so much fun. Then I had my double mastectomy. Dr. Weintritt and Dr. Ventura, there's no story on that one. It was just easy breezy. So that next day, they were releasing me from the hospital, and I get in my sister's car, and I said, okay, now I want guacamole, and let's go to Rosa Mexicana. And she said, Danita, you just had a double mastectomy. I said, and she says, you need to go home and recover and recuperate. I said, I can recover in a chair at Rosa Mexicana just as much as I can recuperate in my chair at home. I want to go to Rosa Mexicana. Swear. The next day, I had her, we went to Kid Island. I had her drive me everywhere. I have to tell you, during my process of my chemo, I have a girlfriend, stage 4, 14-year survivor. And she called me and she said, Danita, cancer is going to make you realize what you're made of and what others around you are made of. Well, unfortunately, I got that. 5 days after my double mastectomy, I was dating a man for 4 years. We had traveled the world together. He was my Prince Charming and we were going to get married. So he calls me 5 days and I'm like, oh, hi, honey. And he's like, yeah, I just have to let you know that we're not working. I'm like, what? Yeah, you know, you don't like the ballet and you don't like the opera and we just don't have anything in common. I was like, what? Blindsided, devastated. And I remember a couple days later, I don't know if Dr. Weintritt remembers this, but I went to his office and I was like, my boyfriend broke up with me. And he said, Danita, keyword, boyfriend, not your husband. Unfortunately, husbands leave their wives. So a couple days after that, so I swear to heaven, so a couple days after that, I was at Starbucks on King Street, and I had a baseball cap on, and I didn't want to see or talk to anybody, and I swear on my life this happened. And I'm sitting there at the table, and I'm reading the paper, and this lady walks up, and she says, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "No." And she said, "Well, do you mind if I sit at your table?" And I'm like, "I don't care." And she grabbed my hand, and she said, "This is what you need to know. The good Lord has cleansed." Well, first she said, I told her my story about having cancer, and my boyfriend broke up with me, and then she says, "This is what you need to know. The good Lord is cleanser of cancer, but he also sees your future." And he's like, "I'm going to cleanse her world so she has a clean slate, beginning a new life." And I was like, "Oh, that is so good." And I looked up, and I swear, hand to God, there was nobody there. I looked over at the line, and everyone's on their iPhone in line at Starbucks. I literally ran out on King Street to see if it was one of my clients who said that. I have no idea who said that or what happened, but I know it gave me comfort. I had radiation, and that ended my year of cancer. And then you reflect. And my reflection is, I obviously was raised in faith. I've always been a believer with a lot of questions, but I'm a knower. I know that God is real. No matter what faith you are, I know he's real. I know I heard his voice. I know I felt his comfort when I was most scared. I know that there are angels among us every day, whether in human form or whether that vapor that happened to me at Starbucks on King Street. And in closing, I just have to say, during one of my sister's and I's mini adventures, I saw this sign, and it said, "Do not take life so seriously, because no one's getting out here alive." And you know, guys, that's just the fact. So live it every day, celebrate every day, live it in love, live it in kindness, and live in gratitude. And I want to thank Dr. Weintraub so much, because 30 years ago, when all my friends were dying of AIDS in the 1980s, we had no advocate. And now with breast cancer, as a survivor, we have an amazing foundation for our cause. Thank you.